Hey, it's father time. All right, this is gonna be fun. This is the Boeing 767-300ER made by RHD Simulations. Today is March 7th, 2023, and this airplane came out just a couple of days ago. I've flown it for 2 days, and it is what it is. I bought it for $25 US. Is it worth that? I'm gonna let you decide. This is by no means a study level aircraft. Is it better than Captain Sim's Boeing 767-300ER, which had a 7.4 flight propulsion system in it, as well as a database, and performed like a Apollo 16 rocket as a result? I would say the Captain Sim graphics are better. Uh, in some ways, the model it flies a little better, although it's just super overpowered. This aircraft for that RHD simulations has created is not as nice aesthetically. Taxis a little better than Captain Sim. You can manipulate the FMC more accurately, and it flies. You can use the FMC vertical nav in flight up until the top of descent. I'll start with that. Let's take a look at this thing. Liveries, near and dear to my heart. This one right here. I have 5,000 hours in this airplane as a captain for American Airlines. In both the 76300, 200, and 75 is a common type rating. So out of the 5,200 hours in the airframes, I don't know how many were in the 300. Probably a third of that. But it was the same airplane essentially. But I am not an expert on Microsoft Flight Simulator, nor am I an expert critiquing software design people, but I am an expert on flying large airliners and especially the 7.6. So I'll let you know. But please, I'm going to start this thing. Please don't take my word as the final authority. I'm just looking forward to getting out here and showing you what I did discover in my few hours playing with this. Just a word of preemption here that I actually had this thing. It takes about an hour to do what I'm about to do, this soup to nuts thing. I had my computer crash on final 4 times in the last 2 days with this airplane. When I intercept ILS, it just started jerking around, and to the point where that's never happened before. So I'm wondering if it's the model and not my computer. This is Bradley International Airport. It's an hour from my house, so it was a nice short drive into work today for me. It's a little dad humor there. Parked at the ramp. Sorry, guys. Allergies in Connecticut. Looks pretty right here, right? Some guys who are more of a expert on these things and more particular wouldn't like the lack of detail. I think it's fine. There she is, RHD Simulations. I guess it's their first endeavor. Congratulations, guys. Got little brats like me critiquing you. Who needs me, right? Here it is. I don't know. Guys are complaining about the detail. I think it's absolutely fine. Hey, guys, I look like I lost a little weight. I look good in there. Jeez, it's encouraging. Okay, so we're inside, cold, dark airplane. First thing you do, of course, you look on the outside. This is going to be a pilot's version of the review. Not a lot of fluff, not a lot of music, outside landing views. So if you're not going to want a soup to nuts presentation, you probably want to leave here. Definitely not going to be doing that. So here we go. Walk outside, make sure there's no engine bays open. There's no that the chocks are in, the gear doors aren't hanging. All these things because you're about to power up the aircraft. You don't want to trap anyone or hurt anyone. Come in the cockpit, first thing I look for is any kind of maintenance stickers. Sometimes they put a triangle in here to say don't touch these controls. Anything like that, nobody touches anything as long as I'm the captain until maintenance gives us permission. It can really hurt someone out there. But anyway, looking around, you can see it is what it is. I like this over here a lot. This is a coffee stain that I probably left there. Last time I flew this thing was about 8 years ago. I'm on the 777 now. I retire in September. My birthday is September 6th. 1958. So if you guys, you can send whatever you want presents wise. These are the circuit breakers. We obviously come in, we check for that after we check for the maintenance issues. I'm going to move this armrest out of the way. Then we do the cabin safety check. I actually check the trim, the rudder and aileron trim before I go up. Here's rudder. Aileron we get off the top of the yoke right here. And I check at the elevator when I power up. Just that's my technique. I always have done it. I start at the bottom up, note the coffee stain. A lot of these panels don't work. A lot don't work. Captain Sim has more panels working, and his panels are a little more accurate too. But this one, as I mentioned, FMC is better, and it actually flies a little better in the nav mode. Neither one is great. There's the fuel fire switches are cut off. They're actually in the down position. Stabilizer trim cutout switch cutouts, although they don't work. The fuel control switchers are off. Throttles are idle. Flap levers up. Spoil levers down. Gear handles down. Up to the overhead. The windshield wipers are off. They no longer have rain repellent. This is an old model. Most of ours were converted a long time ago to full 777 type 6 screens all across like this. So this is an old round dial airplane. We did have rain repellent back then. I want to note things like this light panel. This, oh my goodness. Yesterday, this had a retract on it. Now it doesn't. So the lighting panel is correct. Very cool. So they're making some adjustments. So here we go. Battery switches up. Covers up. Batteries on. What do you get with that? Not much. No screens, no nothing. But what do you get with... no. Standby power. You can aviate, navigate, communicate, and fly a raw data ILS. As a matter of fact, you have to do that on your type rating. This radio works. VHF COM1 over here, and you get a raw data ILS. You actually have your ILS backup data here. The detail on this is lacking. A couple of these switches don't work. This is not a study level aircraft. That's okay. They never sold it like that. But $25, I think maybe, guys, should have been a $15 guy, but that's okay. Now, when we turn on the external power, what do we get? Well, we get all our buses right across, Captain, FO, secondary engine, everything is set here. I just noticed they have a taxi checklist here. I don't know if it's accurate. Oh, just an aside, right off the bat. Maybe you want to download a 7.6 checklist unless you're a guy like me who's flown it a lot, because starting engines, it's completely wrong. It's a start switch pull, fuel control run. I don't know where they got that. It's these are your start switches are up here. They're levers. They're switches up here. There's no pulling. Just go to ground. I don't know. So don't even bother with that thing. And so next thing we do, as pilots, we're always anxious to get the IRUs running. IRSs in this case. So we turn it on. 1, 2, 3. We would get on DC lights here and start a line, get a few lights. I'm going to try to keep the everything on camera as I'm doing this, have a habit of drifting off. This is technique, but I'm going to go ahead and start the APU because we're going to get right going here. So normally you'd wait on that so that you gave a little ramp noise congestion. Okay, so that's getting everything started. Let's initialize the FMC. RHD Simulations. I'm going to give you an external view for your FMC work. There you go, RHD Simulations. Because as a pilot, I know I speak for all of the airline pilots who play these games and have fun with them. We really appreciate when this FMC is accurate. Captain Sim, come on, brother. I don't want to prove it to you. I could just call up my hangar there. I own these 777-200, all by Captain Sim. Of course, 7.4, 200, 300, Freighter, and 7.6-300, which I actually end up deleting. All of them have the 7.4 propulsion system strapped in them. They even went so far as to have engines 3 and 4 dimly lit in the background. That's not good. And even the ident page has 7.4 on like a 777 and the 7.6. Come on, guys. At least you're honest. At least you're honest. So these are CF-6-80s, the same ones we had at my airline, General Electric's, about 75,000 pounds of thrust each. Naturally, we derate it for most takeoffs. So first thing you do is you check, make sure you got the right engines in the database. You check your database is active. They don't have the secondary here. Normally, the maintenance preloads the following one. So if the aircraft ends up in wherever, it's ready to go, and you just hook it over, you select it, and bring it up there. But in this case, it's not loaded. It would be. I love this. Everyone's going to love this RHD simulations because they never let us do this. All right, so GPS and put it in the boxes. Boom. Now, and I always, as a technique, just my technique, I put in the reference airport. We used to do it as procedure, so I'm an old guy, so that I kind of do this. And I cross-check reasonableness. This will be our position at the ramp. That's the middle of the airport. So yeah, the airplane does seem to know where we are. Go to the bottom right. The airplane was loaded at the by Microsoft Flight Simulator at the World page, but you could send a request with nothing in here, and the route would come up, and you'd load it, and then activate and execute it. I'll put in our flight number, AAL 1123. I don't know why. And but in this case, whoop, everything's in there. As a matter of fact, it's in all the way to New York with the ILS tuned here and ILS 22. It's a very efficient flight plan. I've used it to evaluate other aircraft, so I think you'll like it. So back to the route page, that's all filled out. We go to the perfinite. It's already filled out, 0 fuel weight. I put in a reserve. I'm going to use Newark as an alternate, although I don't even need one. Put in 10,000 in there. Cruise altitude, 9.2. I don't know what that is, so we're going to put in 12. It's a good cruise altitude. Cost index. It's garbage in, garbage out. I've seen a lot of misunderstanding about what this is. Cost index is just a flight plan generating tool. If the airline's running late and wants to get there faster, they'll burn more fuel, waste a little money. They'll go at 120 or 130, something like that. But if they're running ahead of schedule, they'll put it to 40 or so. What that means is, let's say you're crossing the North Atlantic. This airplane normally crosses at 0.8. If they're way ahead of schedule, they may try to cross at 0.78. They put in a 40 cost index. That would generate a flight plan that would cross slower and save us probably a few thousand pounds of gas. But if they were running late, they wanted to get that airplane to London, for instance, they might have to put in 120 to make an on-time arrival. But it's garbage in, garbage out. So it's what you put in. It's not the most fuel efficient. It's not to save money. No, it's for whatever the airline determines it needs. It's on the flight plan. Thrust limits. This is inaccurate. This to me looks like a database from a 7.3. Last generation 7.4s or a 777 or 7.8. They did not have TO1 and TO2 on a 7.6 back in the day. They only had TO, and it was just one takeoff power setting. These are derated engines. So that's your 75, 80,000 pound engine right there. That's all we have. This would be 10% less, so 72,000 pound engine. That's 20% less, so what's that, 80, 16, 64,000 pound engine. Then you can further derate it from there. So sometimes you get out there and the takeoff data may say, oh, I can't get off on this runway. Well, you've got a TO2 flight plan, go to TO, and yes, you can get off. So it's you got to think of those things. But this is not accurate. They don't have this on the 7.6. So RHD, if you want to get rid of that, go ahead, that's fine. Not a big deal. Takeoff page. Thrust reduction, you can alter that. That's 1500 AFL. The field elevation here is 180, so 1500 is 1680. That's when the power will come back, and it does work in here, as I'll show you in VNAV. Flaps, you can't change put your flaps in. We normally take off flaps 15 or so, sometimes flaps 5. We'll do a flaps 15 takeoff. As you can see, it's not working. But the speeds are good enough. And thrust limit we already checked, so we've checked that. So let's put this V2 in here while we're thinking about it, all right? So V2. I'm going to use my handy dandy Logitech Hoochie Walker, and then I'm going to change the runway heading which I happen to know is about, I don't know, you take that off the HI1, right? Long way around. Don't know why. And it's, we'll say it was, it's runway 24. We'll say HI9 said 239. And altitude, they normally, they level off here at 5, but we're going to put in 12 so we don't challenge ourselves, okay? Sorry, I did the vertical speed by accident. No need to do that. But if you want to change it using the panel, these, by the way, the altimeters and things have some glitches. I'll point those out. And turn the auto throttles on, just arming it really. And flight directors off. Hey, right jump ahead. Don't look for the toga switch. They're usually right there, and there. You hit either one. They don't have it. I don't know if that's accurate, but they want you to use this for your toga. Never saw that before. So I don't know if our fleets just didn't have it. We were the launch company for this aircraft back in 1986. United launched the 767-300, the initial one, in 1982, but American 1986, I think October, launched the 300ER. We did not have that. We had toga switches. Anyway, minor point. Absolutely minor point. So the FMC is loaded. Looking at the FMC, this execute light just stays on. You guys should get that to work, goes off. Captain Sims does the exact same thing. It's a little confusing for real pilots, but anyway, initialization. If you ever want to get back to the page, a lot of stuff's under init. You can go right to your takeoff page. Whatever they think you need to know at that moment, it's right under init ref. So if you are going to take off, there it is. If you're in flight and you're going to land, you hit init, it'll come right to the approach page. Which, by the way, these speeds are not going to be of any use to us, so they're a little inaccurate. All right, so we've set the initialization, we've set the route, we've set the course, and hey, you're like this, guys. So plan mode, right? And then, we go to legs, and what we're required to do, you can step through like this. This is how we check the flight plan. One pilot reads to the next, and if you watch over here, we're supposed to check it on the, let's go here so you can see it, on the page as we go, on the nav display, and make sure it goes. We're actually clicking and watching here. It works. Doesn't work on the other airplanes. So unless you get into the PMDG 7.3 and higher level, study level aircraft like that, most airliners on Microsoft Flight Simulator are not study level. So anyway, that's the FMC. Overhead panel. I want to get this so you can see it. It's like every other, attaboy, Jeff. I don't know what I just did there. Yeah, okay, about that. Normal sounds, really weird sounds in the cockpit. They need to buy a different sound card, but they know that. So, like all transport category aircrafts, when you do the interior inspection, start on the upper left, and you're going to go, I'm just going to pull back so you can actually see what you're doing, and go column, 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 column. Whether there's 3 or there's 5, start here. So IRSs, they're aligned, otherwise there'd be some lights. Yaw dampers don't work, but they're up here, so you don't get Dutch roll when you're flying in these big airplanes. EEC is electronic engine control. That controls so the engines won't overboost. It limits your thrust based on your phase of flight and your situation, so it sets your power so you don't overheat, overboost. These would be lights. If there were a problem with any of the EECs, it would come up here. To be honest with you, I forget what those lights are, and you can't test it. That's the annunciator test. But okay, hydraulic pumps. Their demand is they're electric. They're in auto on the ground. The engine pumps will come on when the engine comes on. The pressure lights are normal. This is your annunciator panel. No lights. HF radios don't work. There's 2 of them for North Atlantic or over water crossing. They're right here. They're off. Standby power is on. Battery lights on. Generator, it started. So I'm going to go APU generator on, and I'll turn off the external. Bus ties on. That's normal. Utility buses are on. Generator, no drive light. That's low oil pressure, high oil temperature. They come on, and you shut them off. If you shut them off, they can't be reconnected in the air. Auto APUs this. We push this Voice recorder, get 4 bumps in the green. Checks, glare shield. I'm going to put this all the way up for sim purposes. To be honest with you, I'm having a little trouble seeing the PFD ND. There's a flood here. These are the flood. Okay, back up to the top. It's emergency light switches. It's in the guarded position. If you want to turn them on, you put the handle down, the cover down, and flick the switch down. You got ram air turbine here. It comes out if both engines fail to give you a little generator that helps you power more equipment. So I showed you what standby power looked like. Aviate, navigate, communicate. With the ram air turbine, you could actually fly a full ILS. And the FO and the captain both have instruments. These are start switches we'll be using later. As I mentioned, the engine start. It says fuel control switch pull. So it's worthless. Might want to download a little 7.6 checklist if you don't know it. All right, this is engine and wing anti-ice. The engine and wing anti-ice, there is no auto position on the 7.6. It's a 777 engine and wing anti-ice thing, or 7.4 next generation, where the engine ice comes on automatically. There's on and off. If it's 10 degrees Celsius or less, so it's cold, and there's visible moisture, visibility less than a mile, or any visible moisture like snow or rain, it's cold, or taxiways are contaminated with slush or chunks, you turn on, after engine start, you turn on the engine ice. Wing anti-ice we only use in the air above 1,000 feet if we have actual icing and on the windshield. So, but it's on off. These are inaccurate. Rain repellent, we used to have that. They deactivated those switch 20 years ago. But remember, this was an old style airplane. Yeah, I keep turning that on, don't I, guys? Sorry about that. There we go. These are wipers. Only one switch controls both sides. They're off. Let's go to the light panel. On is down. Off is there. We should have the beacon, the nav light, I'm sorry, on at the gate. Beacons will come on when we start engines. Strobe lights will come on as we take the runway. As long as it's clear for takeoff, we turn on all the lights, including the taxi turn-off lights. Pretty good. RHD Simulations. So far, so good, guys. Yeah, some of the panels are wrong. Who cares? It is what it is. Window heat's on. HF radio set. No cell call lights are on. No smoking seatbelt. Turn on the no smoking the seatbelt sign. This is the one that you cycle just for sterilization or calling the flight attendants or whatever. This is the pressurization control panel. It's in auto, and you change the system 1 or 2. That's a landing. I think landing altitude select. This is your pressurization panel. It's zero differential pressure at the moment because you're unpressurized. The cabin altitude would be at whatever your field elevation was. So if outside it was 3,000 feet, this would be 3,000 feet naturally. Equipment cooling, auto on off. So it's kind of you get smoke or whatever. This turns off your fans and vents the smoke overboard. Opens a little depressurization valve off the side of the aircraft to get smoke out of the cockpit or cool off the equipment if the fans break. You know how that goes. The lighting, again, I just turn them all on for sim purposes. And that's it. Okay. What do we have down here? Logo lights. Yeah, turn them on. Advertise for RHD, right? It's all good. I think that's the smoke elimination panel, but I'm not sure, guys, to be honest with you. It might be the bright dim switch. And way up here, sorry about the weird angle, but that's how you'd be looking from the captain's seat. And the cargo and bulk heat's on. I don't know why it got quiet all of a sudden. Isn't that weird? That's a simism, guys. This is pressurization, air conditioning. Everything's in auto. APU bleed is on. The engine bleeds are off. They are auto in the 7.6, so they'd be in, but you got to remember to turn them on after engine start. Don't know what just happened, guys. Did the APU fail? Oh, yeah, it did. APU failed. That's not good. All right, back on. Well, kind of real life like that, huh? Kind of cool. All right, so then we completed the overhead. We come down. Warning is from that. This panel does not work. This is your frequency for your like your ILS or VORDME. Of course, I think the ILS is down way down here, but it auto tunes. Doesn't work. Nothing works on here. Another thing that doesn't work that I really wish they'd fix. See this decision height down here? We're pilots. We like to have our decision height or our engine out acceleration. You set that down here. So far, RHD simulation doesn't work. Hey guys, airline pilots like to have whatever their decision height is down here, or their engine out acceleration. If you would, you could probably give us that. Okay, so across the PFD and the nav display, map MCD, mode control panel, flight directors are on, auto throttles are on, 182, 239, 12,000, all these lights are out. We can arm VNAV. I'm not going to arm LNAV, which is, I'm going to just leave VNAV only. Reason is I'm going to do runway heading until we talk about a few things. Then our last thing we do is, as all aircraft, we come down the middle. We check our standby attitude indicator, airspeed, standby altimeter. Should be right here. Make sure they match. Make sure the FO and captain's altimeters are within 75 feet, and you're within 200 feet of this one, of the standby. And I think you have to be within 50 feet of field elevation. I'm rusty on those for the 7.6. Right down the middle, we already did the box. Lights are all out. No one wanted lights. There is a status page. We checked that, and anything wrong would come up here. By the way, arming the spoilers, you're going to want to do that, right? You can't do it. It doesn't work. You guys should make that so if you pull back your arms, the way you get it, I'm going to trick it. I am going to put the spoilers out, put them back, and they go to the arm position. That's down. So put them out, put them back. We'll arm them for landing. Jury rig. Flaps are up, throttle's down. Fuel control switches cut off. I guess I did that. Fire switches are in. Coffee stain is present. Very important. And 0 on the rudder trim. And we are done with the interior. The captain does his flow, which is check his oxygen. This is instrument source selectors. So if his PFD didn't work, you could transfer over. IRS, EFI, IRS, these are your flight director source switches to go to the backups. Standby, it's your airspeed indicator. The newer ones, of course, we have the speed tape. HSI and nav display, vertical speed. So the captain checks all the stuff, resets the clocks. These switches don't work. And check crush checks altimeter. That's it. You are now ready to go flying. We are going to try to go to New York, and hopefully it doesn't crash on final, the computer. I was able to land out of 04, but it was jerking and herking and jerking all the way around. If it does it today, I'm going to blame it on you, RHD. But I think maybe it was my computer. Maybe it's got an hour time limit on it. It never has, but not sure what's going on. But I digress. So, all right, we're clear to start. So when we're clear to start, we go up here. We let everyone know. Red, right? Beacons are on. So we got the beacons rotating. We've got permission to start. And we don't have any igniters. We go right up here, way up top, and go to ground. Not very good engine sounds. All right. When N2, well, I got to turn down my gain volume here. When N2 gets to max motoring, 25%, we're going to bring this fuel lever up, fuel control switch up. One glitch that RHD has to fix ASAP, oil pressure. We should already have a rise in oil pressure. This thing's going to fully start, and the oil pressure on both engines is going to be at 0, which of course is an absolute quick shutdown before the engine seizes up. But everything else works great, so I respect that. You need to fix the checklist too, RHD. Make up a checklist that gets the guys at least through takeoff. That's all. All right, so this is going to stabilize. We're watching that EGT, watching that EGT, making sure we get oil pressure, which we don't. Oil temperature is good. It started off at 18, we'll say, and it dropped. It usually takes about 2 quarts of oil. So there it is. Got engine is stabilized. Looks good. Oil pressure is 0, so you know that's wrong. And the switch snapped out of the ground. position. Going to come back up here. We're going to start the other one. Right there. This one snapped out of ground to auto when the engine started. Back down. Guys are going to be frustrated starting this thing without a checklist. So that's what this video is for. This is a nuts and bolts video. It's not a flashy video. It's a pilot's video. Here we go. Max motoring. Fuel lever's coming up. We're going to look for light off. Oil pressure, we're looking for that to come up. I'd be highly suspicious. Even right now, I'd shut it down. It's coming up. We had a little thing we used to say called 2, 4, 6, 8 when it's stabilized. 2, 4, 6, and an 8 some oil, because usually the oil's gulp. That's not simulated here. No criticism. So far, when I was checking this airplane out for the first time, I was excited. And I'll tell you what excited me right here. Flight management call, because Captain Sim did not get this right. And the propulsion system is a 7.4. I didn't respect that. So 2, 4, 6, 8, but he's got all my money. I'm sure he's a great guy. And so we're stabilized. So right after you stabilize, right after you get an engine started, if it was visible moisture, temperature less than 10 degrees, you would come up here and put on the engine ice. Remember, that auto position's not there. So you go on, but today it's warm and no visible moisture, and ice, winning ice above 1,000 feet if you get icing. And say, okay, we're all good there. We would come up to here. We don't need the APU anymore, so we'd shut off the APU bleed. We turn on the engine bleeds, which is automatic in the real 7.6. Then we come up here and make sure that APU generator, we don't need it. We can turn that off. Off. And there it goes, going off. It takes a minute and a half, minute cool down for the engine APU to actually shut all the way down. They call external power to pull. I'm sure they take it. We're going to assume, right? So I would call, we're at the gate. Actually, we'd push back. But let's say we already pushed back. We're ready for taxi. I would call for flaps 15. 1. That's flaps 1, 5, 15. Flaps come down pretty quickly. It's right here. Pretty quickly in the sim here. Take a little longer because the slats have to process and everything, but they're making their way down to 15. Spoiler levers, we already armed them. Auto brakes, RTO. This is for landing. Talk about that later. All right, one last check of the NCP. We got the flaps set, spoiler levers armed, auto brakes are armed. All right, let's take a look outside the aircraft. Naturally, this would be unacceptable. We blow this guy away. This guy appears to be waiting for us to start. That's a nice airplane. Okay, buddy, be careful. We're going to get going. Now, this is interesting, and I don't know how to get these guys to leave. I don't know if our mission, maybe RHD Simulation has a way, but they're not, from the last few flights, I'll tell you, they're not going to move. So we're just going to run over them. Here we go. I'm going to try to avoid them. Taxi lights on. Parking brake is off. All right, here we go. Want to see it from the outside? That's kind of fun. Let's do that. Ciao, fellas. Engine noises aren't great, guys. Try to avoid this guy, the truck, and him. Guy's got balls of steel, doesn't he? Unbelievable. All right, so here we go. Taxiing. Not bad. Not bad. Better than Captain Sim's. Sorry, brother. Captain Sim, if you're listening. This is, yeah, it might not look as good as yours, but it's more honest. A little frustrated with the landing. Captain Sim, your airplanes on finals sometimes go crazy. If you don't turn the entire auto system off, you just can't get it to slow down. The throttle stop responding. You know that. This one is more honest flying, although I've been getting the glitches on final I'm open to the fact that it might be me, my computer. We're going to find out, because if it happens now for, really, I think it would be the 5th time in a row, be honest, it would tell me that it's probably, sorry, I got to kick in my rudder pedals here. My stick, I have a Hostas Thrustmaster set up here. Usually the stick's enough, but this case I had to go with the rudder pedals. If you don't have rudder pedals, this might be a little hard to taxi this bad boy. All right, let's talk about taxiing. Normally on most PFD NDs, PFD, there's a speed tape here. You put the speed tape on the line. We used to, that works. We used to say inside foot on the line on both sides. But here, see this little black area here? Do you see that? Right here. If that's on the line, you're on the line. But don't take my word for it. Well, we should be a little left. Let's see. Yep. Come over. Okay, that's on the line, right? And it's on the line. That works on, this is interesting. This is a totally legit maneuver. It just came out. FAA approved this maneuver, as long as the driver of the truck is underbelly qualified. So here we go. Is my stick enough? Big airplanes, you got to square the turns off for 90-degree turns, 30-degree, not really. The gear on this one, yeah, we got to square it off slightly more than a Cessna Citation or something, but yeah, I have to pump in the rudder pedals there, a little top brake, and off we go. But the, 777, 74, you got to really square those big turns off, tight 90-degree turns. This one handled a little more like a 727 MD-80. You can see the nose gear is pretty far back, but only about 10 feet or 8 feet. Where even the 777, it's getting back around 15 or 20 feet. It's a much longer fuselage. But the 300 was a big boy. It grossed out at 412. Range was around 6,000 miles or 11,000 kilometers. Usually Econ Cruise was 0.8, although it was 0.86 capable airplane. Usually we strapped on CF6-80 GE engines, 80,000 pound of thrust. They made 1,271, delivered 1,271 7.6s and 1,005 7.5s. So they were, because we were joint type rated, there were 3,000, almost 1,400, 2,400 airframes out there from Boeing. Very successful airframe worldwide. This 2-engine airplane was the first one certified to go extended over water on 2 engines. So that's a big deal. Boy, I'll tell you, the DC-10 guys, 7.4 guys did not like the old guys. Now I'm the really old guy. It's funny, I used to have to retire at 60. Now I retire at 65, which is, and I used to think those guys at 58 or 57 were old as dirt. You can only imagine what all these guys think, although the 777 were all old. All right, we're clear for takeoff, position and hold. I reach up here, get all the lights on. Logo's on, all the lights are saying are on. All right, everything's on. We chime the flight attendants. Make flight attendants prepare for takeoff. We would have done that. Check final clear. We're gonna go out on the runway and talk about something here. We do the rolling takeoff normally. I'm gonna use all my runway. It's 9,500 feet, which should be fine. More than enough. So one last check, we would have talked about engine out procedures. 980s our engine out altitude, 3000s our in sector. This runway, we'll come back into this runway. If we fought it out, we can go over to Providence or Boston or something. There is a 7,500 foot runway, but it's a little short at this weight. All right, remember that speed tape, we're on the runway. We're on the line, we check runway heading. All right, so normally we bring the throttles up to 50%, hit toga back here. But it doesn't have toga, which RHD needs to get toga in there. Instead, they use this little thrust switch here. Don't know where that came from. So here's 50%, looks good. Thrust, and I bring the throttles all the way up to takeoff power. And you can see it says takeoff down there. And it's pulling left. I got full right rudder in. Back on. A little bit of pull. No problem. That's probably pilot error. Here we go. 80 knots, our first check. We, of course, cockpit, 80, check. And we're checking for a clogged pitot tube. We both have the same thing. We're clear to go. V1 and V-rotate are automated, although it's real quiet on this airplane. This is hypersensitive here. Oh, by the way, I have everything on default. Everything's on default. And legacy. No, modern, rather. V1 and rotate right up into the command bars. Gear up and look at those pitch bars drive down. So what I do is I come over here and I redo VNAV like that. Okay? And that's not bad. Now the power already came, it's still a takeoff power. Oh, it seemed to have come back, but it says takeoff. There's our cleanup altitude. Start getting some flaps up. So not bad so far, guys. Look at, that's an honest PFD presentation. We're in VNAV. There's our 1,500 feet. So the power came back to climb power, and there it is at climb power. It's actually coming back a little too much. Yeah, it's a little too much. So I'm going to take off the auto throttles and climb out. All right. What I did is took the auto throttles off and then put them back on. Now, how honest is the PFD, the displays here? Well, it thinks we should be climbing. I have a lot of power in right now. Let me bring back a little more. Climb at 92 or so. It thinks we should be climbing at VNAV at 240. On the airplane, there'd be a VREF speed here. And it's pretty accurate. A little sensitive. You could probably desensitize the elevator a little bit, but I like flying in default. A little more honest. So there it is. I am doing heading hold. And I actually didn't heading hold. Doesn't work. There it is, heading select, runway heading, and it wants to climb at 240, and we're doing that. 241 on the heading. It's climbing pretty honest, right? All right, it wants to come right to the 241 heading. I think what I'll do is just maintain our present heading right there. And let's see if VNAV works. Let's get the autopilot on. Now when I turn on the autopilot, it's going to pitch down out of 10, by the way, and the speed went up to 312. So that's honest too, right? It's going to level. Let's see if the autopilot will level for us. I'm going to turn autopilot on, which is over here. Any one of the three works. Let's see what it does. All right, his first instinct is it dives down, and then give it a minute. It takes a minute for it to stabilize, but it does. So that's not how the real airplane works, but what do we have here? 11 for 12. I got to tell you, I know I'm a nerd. That excites me. It excites me because a lot of the airplanes don't work. I've got the autopilot on, which means that's what command means. We're in heading select, VNAV path. It's going for a speed of right there, 310, and it's leveling at 12. Now the altimeter is going to be a little funky. There's 11.8, right? You guys are all seeing what I'm seeing? 11.8, 11.9, and it leveled at 12. And when it levels at 12, it's going to go 12.980. It looks like you're at 13, but you're not. So we're all seeing the same thing there. And here we are. We're cruising at 12,000, believe. Just trust me. I've got the auto throttles off right now. And I did because they came all the way back. I don't know if I can get them to come back on. Probably not. It's okay. I can fly them with auto throttles off. All right, now it says 12. And voila. So here we are. That's Long Island Sound out there. Off to our left is the North Fork of Long Island. A lot of nice marinas out there. Then the South Fork, it's like, and then the main body of Long Island, it's Montauk Point way out there in the end. If you want to go to the Hamptons with the rich people, it's out there. But we are over Connecticut right now. More specifically, that's Meriden, Connecticut. Yeah. I live right down. You want to see my house? All right. I knew you did. That's Hammonasset State Park, Madison, Connecticut. You guys, my birthday's September 6th, so make sure you send something, even if it's just a card. But anyway, dad humor there. So this is North Shore of Long Island. New Haven, Connecticut. Right down in here. See if we can see it from the outside. Yeah, that's New Haven, Connecticut, home of Yale University. Here it is, down in here. Pretty, traffic. That was me. All right, so here we go. Let's go back inside. All right, so enough of that nonsense. We're going to go direct. It's going to work too. Only funky thing is when I go direct, right, the points that are bypassed are off to the side. There's no beam selection, by the way, and the execute light's going to stay on at all times. So Captain Sims does that too. You guys must have bought from the same provider. Now, while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to put the auto brakes to 3, 4 for landing. All right, Rosley is the IAF. So here's our leg page, Hartford, We're going to go direct to the IAF. So we go next page, Rosley. And you go to the top of the pages. Rosley normally would be in there, but it's not. But did it work? Look it. There's Rosley. So we're going direct Rosley. I'm excited because that was easy. A lot of times you're going to jury rig this FMC. Now see all these other points? Don't be afraid. They stay in there. I don't know why. So we're at 12,000 feet, even though it looks like 13. How far are we from Rosley? Start this pilot stuff here. 42 miles. When do we want to start down? Well, Rosley wants us to be at 188 knots at 3,000 feet. So we have 9,000 feet to lose. Times 3 is 27 from Rosley. We're 40. So why don't we start down now nice and slow? Because that's, we really should be starting on idle power if we were going. Now I'm going to slow down now. I know it's early, but I want to see if I can give this thing a fighting chance to, I'm going to put this in here, the altitude 3,000. Pray for me. 3,000. Okay, 3,000's in there. I'll do a little vertical speed action. Profile doesn't work, guys. VNAV doesn't work. We'll start down to 1,200 feet per minute, and I'm going to bring this airspeed back to 250 below 10, right? Having a little trouble doing it. Maybe this will work. My little whatchamacallit didn't work. And why don't we try level change? Maybe that'll work. Yeah, that's working. For whatever reason, in vertical speed, it didn't want to do it. So we need to be below 250 and 10. I'm not going to worry about it. We could level off in VNAV at vertical speed if we wanted here. But right now, what are we in? Hey, flight level change works. Flight level change goes to idle power or whatever your climb power is, and gives priority to the airspeed. It'll use idle power and descend using pitch at whatever airspeed you have selected in the window. Doesn't work on a lot of the other airliners, but it works on RHD Simulations. So they seem to have put a little more work Oh, look at this. I went direct Rosley. What did I forget to do, guys? What did I forget to do? You guys should have told me. I forgot to go LNAV. So LNAV is set. So I clicked on LNAV, went back direct, and LNAV is in the window up here. So that works. So out of 10, we'll say we're right at 250. I reach up and re-sterilize flight attendants, make the PA, and brief the approach. Now the approach is the ILS 22 left. Normally we'd set the decision height here and it would come up down here, but we can't do it. And we talked about the NAVRAD. The approach is in there. We'd set the approach all up and it's in there. 10922, brief it, talk about our taxi plan, etc. So here we are at 250, descending down to 3 in flight level change, and it's doing a beautiful job. We are 23 miles from Rosley. We have 6,000 feet to lose. At idle power, it should work out. What if we wanted to hustle on down? What about a little speed brake? Right now we're doing 1,400 feet per minute. I'll pop the speed brake. Let's take a look at RHD. A little more publicity for you guys. Here we go. Back inside. And instead of 1,300 feet per minute, doing more like 5,000. That's a little much. And the airspeed's not being controlled well. So let's put the speed brake back up. But that popped us down a little early. I'm going to plan on being 190 at Rosley. RHD, get some flap placards in here. Pilots like to know what the flap overspeed is. One should go there, and one should go down here. There, and here. So it should be for flaps 1, 5, 15, I think it's 28, 25, and 30. What's our approach speed going to be? No, it's about 145. So this is wrong. You guys need to fix the approach speed. There's 4 for 3. Spoiler lever back up. Why are they not coming up? There they go. And we're going to start breathing the airspeed back. I'll set set 210 for now. I'm going to take our time and give this thing a fighting chance. All right, below 250, flaps 1. Flaps at a 1. And I'm using manual throttles, guys. Because normally you could hit speed here and the auto throttles would come back on. I don't believe they're doing that. Let's see, I'm giving it a chance. No, they're not coming on, so I'll just use manual throttles. No big deal. All right, so we are almost straight in. Look at that. 3,000 going straight. Oh, if you want to change the range, it's down here. It's going to be pretty much a straight in. And here's the ILS coming across. I'm going to start off with localizer. This is where it all went to doo-doo in a little while. I actually got on glide slope around Rosley. You can see we're all set up and it started going haywire. We're 11 miles from Rosley, so we're configured really early. And we also already got a loc capture. That's a little soon. So whenever you arm the localizer, you would get 3 little white letters here that said loc. This, when it goes green, that means it's armed. When it goes green, it means it's already captured. So it says it's already captured. That's fine. Because if I go approach, here we go. Wait, brace yourself. That's arming the glide slope. Look at that. Okay, RHD simulation. Here you go. Advertisement. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Nice job. Because there are other sims. That's not happening. Right, guys? Here comes the glide slope. I'm going to start getting some flaps out. And I'm going to be really slow. And try to be nice and configured. I'm going to put the gear down. Gear down. Right now, flaps are at 5. If you go back here, you can see I'm going to bring some flaps to 15. and that tells me I can go to that speed. Let's go gears down. So let's go flaps 20 and bring the speed all the way back. So the flaps 20 speed of 190. Yes, this is early, guys. This is early, but I'm gonna, this little trend arrow here is where your speed's gonna be in 10 seconds. I think that, I don't really recall. All right, so right now, RHD, except for the things I pointed out, I've been really happy. I don't care about how pretty the airplane looks outside. Everything looks fine to me. Oh, do this again. That's RHD Simulation. Another advertisement for you guys who like a little flashier thing. I'm more interested in the pilot stuff. We're going to fly about 145 on final. You're going to see it is going to intercept glide slope. It's going to Rosley, got 4 miles to go. Localizer, it says it's already captured it. There's 190. I'll bring back the airspeed a little more. I'm going to go all the way back to final approach bug. It says the ref is way back there. I'm going to go with 145. Final flaps are set. Whenever you want to give an airplane a fighting chance, you get configured nice and early. We do it all the time on Cat 3s, which we're not doing today. So this says the ref is, we're full flaps, is way down here at 105. So that's wrong. You definitely want to fix that, RHD. It's about 145. I just know from being at this weight all these years, this airplane. Now we are stable at 3, right? It's going to start having a little trouble, and I'm going to end up hand flying it. But it should be working pretty well here. Gotta give it a little power. It's making a liar out of me. It's doing pretty good. We're gonna give it a chance to do it on autopilot here. We're at 3,000. That says 3980. That's not right. Yeah, it dove out of the altitude on me the last few times. So already it's doing a little better. But the key was I took the auto throttles off. I may have to turn everything off here. It's getting a little erratic. Hopefully it follows the glide path down. I can show you where the runway is. It's right over here. Let's go back in that pilot stuff. Sorry, this is the view I like, guys. Let's see if it follows it down. Is it going to go glide slope capture? It's armed. Is it going to go capture? Because we got this approach armed, right? Right there. Oh my God. It went glide slope capture. And it's flying down nicely. I don't care what happens from now on. There you go, advertisement. Great job. We're ready to take it over, man. I'm going to see how far the autopilot will bring it down. A little bit about the landing. Spoil levers should be armed. Remember I told you that the only way I figured out to arm them is like that. They're armed. The RHD, you might want to be able to grab it and pull it back to arm position, but minor point. All right, let's do some of this pilot stuff here. It's doing a great job. I'm not, because I said I was going to be 145. I'm 155. There's the runway. It's not glitching. Man, you're better than Captain Sim right now, brothers. Captain Sim, you got a lot of my money, my friend. So yes, I'm being a little brat, but got a lot of my money. All right, let's see, do some hand flying, some of this pilot stuff here. I like my PFD a little more visible. Autopilot's off, kind of pitched down, means it wasn't in trim. So autopilot, auto throttle are off. We're hand flying. And inside, outside, looking good. Clear to land. So when I'm landing, about 30 feet, you break the sync. You grease it on in the middle of the zone. And you stand at the door, you say goodbye. If you stick it and do a crappy landing, you ask that the first officer go and say goodbye to the people. That's just my technique. You guys do whatever you want. But if I grease this on, I'm going to go say goodbye to them. All right? I'll buy the beer. But he has to say goodbye, or she has to say goodbye. Nah, I'm only kidding. I go out there, I take it like a man. I do take my time on these shutdown checklists, though. So at least I can get maybe 50 or 60 of them off. So here we are. We got glide slope capture, low capture. We would have missed approach altitude set at 3,000. We're clear to land. We're planning on getting off at Juliet, and we're on 22 left. We're going to hold short at 22 right. And the airplane is performing well. And I'm going to give RHD a very good rating. I don't care what you guys say. I'm pleased. If things go to hell from here and starts glitching and everything, I'm still pleased. There's a lot of the stuff that pilots look for there. If you can fix those few things I've pointed out, you're going to make a lot of real airline pilots very happy. Again, I kept it on default. I don't desensitize anything, and it's still flying well. And I think I have it on legacy. Yeah, legacy and default. Legacy and default. And it flies just fine. Yeah, it's starting to glitch a little bit. I don't care now. I'll take responsibility for whatever's about to happen. Godspeed. To me. All right, inside, outside. Yeah, I got to turn up the volume of the automated calls. So for those of you who like a more poetic presentation with the inside outside, I give you the pilot rough stuff. It is glitching again. I don't know if you guys need to be fixing the model a little more so that I don't know if you have a bunch of presets in. I don't know much about computer software, but presets that make it glitchy like that. See how it's glitching? Shouldn't be doing that, guys. Yeah, that is modeling. That's not my sim. But so maybe we need to work on the ILS and landing. See how it's stuttering? That's what it's been doing. Something there, but hey, come on. I'm pleased. I'm using a little right brake here, guys. Nothing's happening. A full right rudder in, full right brake, and it's just too glitchy. So I think there might be something going on with the modeling on approaches and taxiing. That was full right brake, full right rudder, and I didn't want to turn. But hey, I'm going to stop the aircraft. I'm going to give RHD, it's a $25 airplane. I just bought an MD-11 for $70. $25, that's a lot of fun. I'm going to put it in American Airline liveries and send it to all my old retired 76 friends that flew that American Airlines old livery. So RHD Simulations, $25. Maybe you guys should keep it at around 15 to figure a few things out. But I'm going to recommend a buy on this one. I'm sorry. I know that goes against the grain of what guys are doing. RHD, I know you're new to the game. Congratulations, guys. From Father Time here, an old experienced pilot. What do I know, right? I actually fly the freaking things. I have a lot of respect for what you did. But you need to keep working on it. You need to make it better and better and better, especially that transition to land and taxi. It's stuttering, and that's got to be the model. But anyway, guys, I can get some more of those panels working. Especially we should be able to set our decision height and our engine out acceleration height. Pilots like that stuff. And fix the approach and ground stuff, as I mentioned. And congratulations, one more shout out. There it is, RHD Simulations. My guys, Father Time's out.